Here we are doing a test of the Glock to see if it now ejects fresh from the factory.
It's the TheGearTester here, and all my Glock 19 problems have been solved. Have you ever purchased something that you thought was going to be a great product or item and then had nothing but problems with it? That's what I discovered about a year and a half ago when I purchased a Glock 19 Gen 4 in flat dark earth. And I shared my frustration with you, my viewers and subscribers, over the next 6 to 7 months. As I struggled, I produced 6 videos, range reports 1, 2, and 3 on that particular Glock 19. And then I also produced back to the factory 1, 2, and 3. That's right, I sent my Glock 19 Gen 4 back to the factory 3 times to Glock. Each of those times Glock actually paid for the shipping, which I was grateful for, because my firearm continued to have a persistent problem. And that was erratic ejection, meaning that as I would fire the firearm, instead of the shell casings ejecting off to the side and away, they would eject back and right into the shooter's face. And multiple people fired the gun. I used 4 or 5 different brands of ammo, fired around 400 or 500 rounds through that particular firearm in the process of getting it and sending it back to them. You can watch all those videos, range reports 1, 2, and 3, and back to the factory 1, 2, and 3. And about 9 or 10 months ago, I had sent this Glock away for the last time, and I was very clear with Glock that I wanted a brand new firearm. And I did receive a brand new Glock 19 Gen 4, and this is the pistol that is here in front of you. Completely different serial number, a completely different firearm, and it has functioned beautifully. It has functioned with the exception of one round, that the first magazine that I loaded into the gun, fired the gun, and one round struck me in the face. And I was like, here we go. They sent me a brand new gun. It has the same exact problems. But that one round, hundreds of rounds later, no other rounds have struck my face. And I was used to a third of the rounds or a fourth of the rounds per magazine. It's a 15-round magazine. 4 or 5 rounds would sometimes strike me in the face. And most of those rounds would eject in a weird way. This gun ejects everything the way it should be ejecting the rounds, which is out and to the right, like this, right? With the exception of that one round. It has had no stovepipes, no failures to fire in any way. And my other gun didn't either. It was just that brass kept hitting me in the face consistently. And that was annoying, and it was also dangerous. So Glock is taking care of my firearm problems, and I am very happy at this point in the process with Glock. And I've had this gun back and in my hands for about 10 or 11 months. And I've enjoyed shooting it, and I am impressed with this gun. I do like the Gen 4. I do like the changes they made in it, as long as the gun is reliable and functions correctly. So for me, all my Glock 19 problems have been solved. And I am a happy customer. I've actually purchased a couple other firearms from Glock in the time, the year that's gone by, where I was dealing with these problems. And since I've gotten it back and known that it's been functioning, I purchased 2 more Glock firearms. So I would definitely recommend Glock to you at this point, and I would definitely recommend purchasing the Gen 4 firearms from them. I found them to be reliable now. And judging from the comments that I'm getting on my 6 other videos that deal with having problems with the Glock 19 pistol that I had previously to this one, the number of comments and views on those videos have decreased dramatically, which makes me believe that Glock has pretty much fixed this problem particularly the erratic ejection, that the Glock 19 Gen 4s and Glock Gen 4s have suffered some malfunction issues and this erratic ejection problem for the last 2.5 years. And I think that Glock has basically cleared that up, and that Glock is taking care of their customers. It appears to me from other videos that Glock has kind of decided to send new pistols to people who have persistent problems. And I appreciate Glock doing that. Now I want to take the this last little section of this video. I want to take the opportunity to respond to some comments that I think are basically foolish, that I've gotten over those 6 videos and in other videos about Glocks. People seem to think there are kind of 2 camps: people who love Glocks, people who hate Glocks. So the comments just get instantly divided up. Guys who like their 1911s, oh, I wouldn't shoot a Glock, they're a piece of junk, they're a piece of plastic, they're, you know. And those people like my videos where I was having problems. And they were happy that I was having problems in the sense that they could have a proof to say, hey, see, Glock does sting. Then there was another group of people who love Glocks and who are brand myopic and who could not deal with the fact that my gun might have a problem. And they blamed my cheap junk ammo that I was shooting in it. Well, you know, I fired 5 or 6 different brands of ammo with that first Glock that was having erratic ejection problems. And they were in the $12 to $15 price range, and then some expensive self-defense ammo. And in all those cases, the gun had problems. So it wasn't the ammo. If you can't buy ammo in the $12 to $15 range and have your gun run it reliably, the gun has a problem. Particularly that erratic ejection. They thought that my ammo, I was shooting weak ammo. I shot all kinds of ammo, you know, over 400 to 500 rounds in multiple settings. I know I only did 3 videos, range reports, but those range reports covered many different trips to the range. I just brought up those points and problems as I did it, each of those videos. So that's foolishness. And then there's another group of people that have this foolish idea that somehow all the problems that were going on with my gun were a matter of simply having to break in the ejector, the recoil spring, or guide rod. Okay, the recoil spring or the guide rod, and that's basically this part right here. The guide rod is the plastic polymer part that runs through it. Then the recoil spring, it's a double nested system. And so there are people, and there's all kinds of websites. I'll show you some of those, where it's all dedicated to, you know, the power. Do you need a 11 pound or a 12 pound or a 13 pound spring here? And I think this is particularly with the Gen 3s, but people go all over the place. So they're just sure that if I'd fired a few more 100 more rounds or so, that my recoil spring would have been broken in. And these are the people who love Glocks, and my Glock would be functional. And to those people, I just want to say, you have no idea what you're talking about. Okay? None. Because if this was the problem, Glock would have just sent me this, and in my particular case. And in fact, Glock currently, or at least of 2011, has had July 2011, okay, they have been giving people, they have a recoil spring exchange program. Okay, you could go look at that on their website. Recoil spring exchange program. If your Glock was purchased before July 22, 2011, you can send into them and they'll send you a brand new recoil spring. You got to send your old spring into them. Guess what? If that had been the problem, why would Glock send me another $600 pistol if they could have just done this? And in fact, they did replace or check that my recoil spring was working 2 or 3 of those times that I sent that pistol back to Glock, the first and the second time. My recoil spring was not the problem. If that was a problem, I mean, you can buy these things for $15, anywhere between $15 and like $10. They would just send you a $10 part. They wouldn't send you a brand new firearm. I don't think that was a problem with these guns. I think some guns that were having erratic ejection early on, okay, and Glock would point to that, were having problems with the recoil spring, okay, and the guide rod, this system here. But that wasn't the case in my case, and I don't think it was a case in a number of other people's situations. That wasn't what was going on. What was going on, I think, of course, I'm not a gunsmith, and I don't have complete knowledge here of everything that was going on, but I think it was this little item here. I think it was the ejector, okay? And that's what grabs the cartridge and strips it off. So as the slide reciprocates, it grabs the cartridge that's been fired and flips it out, and then grabs the next one and locks it into the chamber. Okay, extractors, whether it's on a semi-automatic gun or a bolt-action gun or a rifle or a pistol, they tend to work in semi-automatic firearms basically the same exact way. I think this was the problem. Okay, and there's some discussion whether they were using MIM'd parts. That's kind of a, rather than a cheaper way to manufacture the parts, it's supposed to be just as good. There's all kinds of ideas about that, but I think this was a problem. Or my gun just had stacking tolerances and there were other problems with it and they just said, we can't fix it, we're going to send them a brand new one. Okay, but whatever was going on there, it makes me think that there was some other problem. Glock, of course, would love the problem to have just been this, because they could have just sent me one of these. But that wasn't the problem, and that's why they sent me a brand new pistol. And so to all those individuals, he said, if you just shot your firearm a couple hundred rounds more, I just want to be clear, you don't know what you're talking about. Okay? That was not the problem. Glock didn't say that was the problem. Okay? And let's think about this. Let's just use our reasoning abilities. This recoil spring, particularly the double nested, is supposed to be more, have a longer lifespan. You can shoot somewhere up to 5,000 rounds before you need to replace this particular part. Okay, 5,000 rounds. And you're telling me that if I'd shot 400 or 500 rounds, which I had shot, that all of a sudden all my problems would have gone away. Guess what? My gun did not get better. It did not get worse. It stayed the same over those 400 or 500 rounds that I fired. Had nothing to do with this. Let's also think, if this is a spring and it needs to be broken in, and the first 500 rounds loosen it up enough that all of a sudden my problems have gone away, okay? And I'm not having those problems. What do you think happens when I shoot 4,000 rounds for this? This thing is going to be mush and no longer work, and I'm not going to be having any kind of extraction because it's gotten too loose. Okay? It was not the recoil spring problem. Stop doing garage gunsmithing to your firearms and thinking that that's going to fix your problems. That's only going to increase your problems. Glock, the company, manufactures thousands of these firearms. They employ hundreds and thousands of people. They manufacture these things. They know what's going on. They know the tension that should be on the firearms. Have they made some problem? Have they created some problems? Have they done some things? Have they had some difficulties? Yes. But you are not a competent gunsmith with your Dremel tool in your garage, unless maybe you are a competent gunsmith. But those people aren't the people that are leaving these foolish comments, okay? So just be aware of that. These pistols function well. For those of you that may want to hear this, or this might be important to you, I would definitely recommend the Glock Gen 4 family of pistols. I think they are a great family of pistols. I like the changes that were made in the Glock Gen 4s. I like them better than the Gen 3s. Okay, I like the fact that you have a extended or larger magazine release. I like the stippling on the grip. I like that the grip is slightly thinner. I wish it was even a little bit slimmer for me personally. Right? I prefer those things about the Glock Gen 4s to the Glock Gen 3s. Is a Gen 3 a poor firearm? Not at all. Is a Gen 4 a poor choice or a bad firearm? Not at all. They're great firearms, whether that's Gen 3, Gen 4, okay? Excellent firearms if they're functioning properly. My gun didn't. Glock took care of the problem, and I am very, very happy with Glock. All my Glock 19 problems have been solved, and I continue to enjoy shooting this excellent firearm. If you like this video, if you agreed or disagreed with the things that I talked about in this video, I would encourage you to subscribe to my channel and stay up to date with other videos that I am producing. My goal is to produce quality video reviews on shooting, camping, and survival gear. This is the Gear Tester signing off.